consanguinity. And that means your mother, your father, steps also, your grandparents, your grandchildren, your kids, your brothers, your sisters. This is a very common practice, and in our code of conduct, yes, there is an anti-nepotism policy, but it's very vague. There is a lot of gray there. One of the tasks when I'm elected I would like to see done is a very black and white in the code of conduct on anti-nepotism. I don't have a problem on elected officials. Chief Potonik was sitting when Annette was elected. She was elected by the people. She wasn't hired by the tribe. I don't have a problem with that. If the people had a problem, they wouldn't have elected her. I have a problem with the hiring of kids, in-law kids, brothers. These are wrong. There's no place, even though we keep being told we didn't hire them. But now the tribal council is responsible for their paycheck. That's wrong.
This question to me is not difficult at all. It's very easy. Nepotism should not be permitted whatsoever in our employment or in our Constitution. We will review the policy very stringently, and as Bonnie Jo had stated, there will be a very cut and dry, black and white depiction of the nepotism policy. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. We're ready for Crawford. All right, the question I had up is, what is your stand on private workshops and executive sessions, and why do you feel this way?
Okay, well, I know that the workshops are held in question. The contents of the workshop is presenting information, a lot of information, our research, things for us to look at, and then be able to bring the pertinent information back to the tribal council meetings and discuss it at that time. I really am confused with this because these workshops and the information and the research done takes hours. We would be having multiple tribal council meetings and trying to discern the information, and it can be done, but I'm not sure it would be the most efficient way to do things. I am open to the will of the people, but to me, the workshops are the place where we gather the information. We check out that information, and if it's false or we can't support it for economic development or whatever, then we throw it out. But we don't need to discuss it take up so much time. Executive sessions, the reason for executive sessions is to discuss personnel. Coming out of an executive session and the statement that there was no actionable discussion, it could be clarification, there questions come up, and unless, and it is on personnel, unless there is a reason to act, then there will be no action after executive session.
Okay, closed door workshops. I've been told by one counselor that tribal councils are different than other entities, than civilian boards and other boards and non-Indian boards, and that we have to have closed door workshops to perform our business. That's not true. I've sought out members of several other tribes, the Peorias, the Cherokees, the Osage. All of their workshops are open to their members. I have served on boards, all of those meetings are open. There is absolutely no place for a closed-door meeting unless it's personnel. And yes, when they come back from executive session and say there's nothing actionable, and when they went into executive session, it was never stated it was personnel. It was when some yah-yah was going on between the council. And then they come back and say, we just wanted to all get on the same page. That's wrong. I don't care how you slice it, it's still wrong. I need to know what they were all trying to get on the same page about. When they had the meeting in Lawrence, Kansas, and they took a vote on a resolution. Didn't know what it was for, but one council member abstained and said, I'm abstaining because I just don't like the looks of this. Okay, why didn't you discuss it in public so I know why you didn't like it? That's my right to know how each of my council members feel. And so, no, closed-door workshops should be done away with. And when I'm elected, that's one of the first things I plan to address. Thank you.
The subject, again, comes back to transparency. The more open information available to tribal members, the better that they can be informed. I don't agree with the workshops being behind closed doors. I too attend the other tribal council meetings of the Intertribal Council, the 9 tribes up in Miami, Oklahoma as well. They do not have closed door workshops. They do not hold closed door meetings. Everything is open so that everybody is aware of the discussions and the decisions being made. Thank you.
I find the workshops very helpful, but if our people don't want us to do it, I'm perfectly willing to start at 10 o'clock in the morning with tribal council and work all day in front of everybody. One of the problems that I have with everybody showing up when we're discussing things we may not even do is if there are other people present, it does end up on Facebook, and all those people on Facebook are not Delaware tribal members. If it was our Delaware tribal members that got it, that would be perfectly fine with me. It's all the other people that keep putting their nose in our business that I don't like. So I'm workable, whatever. I'm just wanting to get our tribe moving and healthy and strong. That's all I'm wanting.
I have a question in addition to that. What Jan had just stated.
Could you let the last person speak?
Oh, I'm
and then
sorry.
when it's your turn next. Okay,
Yeah,
I know, but you're
last.
next. Okay.
I was just, I'm curious, okay, let's see, this is gonna work. Is your mic on?
Always on.
Okay, thank you. I'm wondering what would be the difference if our meetings were streamed on YouTube, as we had just discussed 2 questions previously, and they would not be open to only Delaware tribal members, but to anyone who would want to access them as well, which is not different than the accessing of Facebook.
Okay, rather than address this question, let's go with the ones that are here, and you guys ruminate on that, and then when it comes your time to give your comments, that will be a perfect time to answer that. We do have another question related, obviously, to this very sore subject, and according to my notes, we're beginning with Bonnie. And it's about mistrust. It's kind of a 2-question thing. Why is there so much mistrust? And I'm going to say, how can members be helped to trust their elected leaders?
Well, trust, I feel, just about a minute, it should start.
Trust, I feel, is something that the council needs to earn. And I feel like they've lost a lot of the people's trust because of the closed-door workshops, because of the answers we get when we do ask questions. Just today, I would like to clarify something, because when we were in Caney at the very first meeting in February, and you could go back and look at the video on this, and I asked what the resolution was, there was no explanation, there was no 10-minute explanation. I was just merely told, I know what it is, and I was elected to vote. Okay, how can I trust that? How can I trust that if I don't know what that is? I don't know if you're voting away $1.2 million of our money. This is we the people's money. It's not the council's money. They've lost trust because at one meeting, an elders committee meeting of just the executives on the elders board, we were told, no, we're not, I have heard nothing about gaming in Lawrence. And 2 days later, we find out that was exactly what was happening. So if a council member tells you that, and then you find out that's not true, how can you trust them? Everybody needs to be open and honest. You don't have to like what I say, but I'm going to be honest with you. If I don't believe what everybody else is voting on, I'll vote no. And I'll tell you why. You don't have to like it, but I will explain it to you. That's for certain. We all need to have our opinions and have our opinions heard. Thank you.
There's a level of mistrust amongst our tribal members because of the non-transparency, the active nepotism, the closed-door workshops, the closed-door meetings. It's very blatant. Of course, if people don't know what's going on and are not aware, there is going to be a level of mistrust because it gives off the distinct possibility of deceptiveness. So the more transparent, which that word's highly overused, the more open, the more knowledge that the people are able to access, the more trustworthy and trusting of their elected officials and the employees they would be. Thank you.
I'm here trying to do the best for this tribe, to make it a strong tribe. I want us to move forward. Now, everybody says that we're spending money we don't have, but yet our assets and our money have actually increased in this amount of time. So it's kind of hard to go by that. I want to do what you want. If you have something you need to push, tell me about it. Let's talk about it. I don't know that anybody's ever brought me a great idea that's worked, but I'm still open to it. I'm sorry if some people feel that they can't trust me when I don't lie. I don't make up things about other people. I don't go on Facebook and write these great long whatever they are. I'm here as a person, a normal Delaware person that wants our tribe to succeed. Thank you.
Trust in your elected officials is definitely the most important thing. I have, the whole time that I have worked as an elected official, I've always told people, ask me your questions, bring me your concerns. I may not be able to answer it, but I will find the answer for you and get back with you. I know I've answered questions for several people in this audience. I don't tell falsehoods intentionally. If something turns out that it's false and I find out later, I'm going to admit it. And yes, we do need trust. We need trust between tribal members and members of the council. And working, I would still support workshops prior to a council meeting so that we can have the background. But I agree, they need to be where people can come in and listen. May ask that they not participate unless it is a great question or concern, because a lot of times those questions will lead us off into an area very different from what we're discussing. Not that it's not important, but we need to discuss it at another time. Trust works both ways. We, as an elected official, trust our people, and we ask that our people trust us.
Okay, talking about elected officials, you saw the candidates, a couple of the candidates for chief today. So this question resolves in, if you are elected to serve on your council, how would you most effectively serve under, well, any or of the chief candidates that you saw, or their names were listed today? Michelle?
I would work.
I would work to my best ability to work with each individual elected official or employee. Thank you.
I once had this question asked in culture preservation. We got a new leader and they came to culture preservation and said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm sorry, I'm here for culture preservation. I'm not here for a certain chief or a certain person. I'm here for that duty." And that's how I feel about this. I'm here to do the job for the tribe to make us strong, and this is what I'm after. So.
No matter who is elected chief or tribal council member, when I'm re-elected, I will honor the office of our chief. That election has been, the person was elected by the people. And it doesn't, I may not agree with that person all the time, but I'm going to respect that person and work with them. And they aren't going to agree with me all the time. But I will respect the office of any of our elected officials, whether it be chief, council, judge, trust board member. And I've worked under and been on the boards for several different administrations. And I have always respected and worked with the current chief.
It doesn't matter, well, it matters to me who's elected chief. But when I'm elected, whoever is the chief at that time, I will work with them. I think what you need is different opinions on a board. We don't want everybody sitting around holding hands singing Kumbaya. I mean, I have my opinion. Regardless who is elected chief, I'm going to differ with them at times. That's just bound to happen. And I will respect their opinion, and they will should respect mine. Yes, I post things on the internet. I have a blog, mydelawareviews.wordpress.com. Those are my views. And I have every right to express those views. And if the council or chief doesn't like it, I apologize. Not for writing them, but I apologize that you don't see the freedom that I have to do that. Thank you.
Okay, I usually ask this question, but it is addressed to the council candidate, so it's on your page. How do you feel about tribal council salaries and the varied compensation? Jan.
I'm not exactly sure what that is. How do I feel about the salaries or the compensation, considering that we all probably work 8-hour days? I know I don't every day, but I spend a lot of time up here. I feel like I live up here, and to have some compensation is nice, but I'm whatever. I'm not dependent on it. I could care less what it is. I don't want to make a fortune here. I don't want to be paid a fortune. So I don't know what you're asking, but
What do I feel about the council receiving payment for serving? I think they should. And that has been something that I have voiced for many years. The council has always worked hard. When I first got affiliated and actively working with the tribe, the council had to do most of the work. We had no money. We couldn't hire a big staff. So council members had to work. And they worked voluntarily because there was no money to pay them. Some of them never came to the center unless there was a meeting. That didn't mean they didn't work. They promoted the tribe. And through the years, costs have gone up. And the ability for people to serve and put in the time needed and required of being an elected official, the compensation makes it possible that they can be, many of us, available 24/7. We're not working another job. Our job is for the Delaware tribe to promote the people and to provide the people with advances, whether it's educational, employment, even emotional stability. If it just, you need somebody to talk to, call one of us. We'll listen. We'll try to help. But I think the salaries or the payments should be equitable among the full council. But again, like I said, in this day and time, your council needs a little support to be able to do the extensive job required of them.
Compensation. I don't have a problem with the compensation. What I have a problem with is the way the compensation came about. I don't ever think the chief's salary should be increased without a vote of the people. And then I think it needs to be in the same year as a chief selection. So the only way that sitting chief would get a raise is if that is approved and the chief is re-elected. I have gone back through all the minutes for the last 4 years. Nowhere can I ever find a vote of the council on increasing the chief's compensation to $50,000 a year. It's not in there. I printed them all off. I've all got them in a binder. So, but it's not in there. You cannot raise somebody's salary without a vote of the council, at least. And I can't find that. I do think the councilors, yes, I know the time that Jan and Verna, all of them put in. Yes, they deserve compensation. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with a statement made in the Delaware Indian News where probably so many candidates are running is because the increase of the councilors' pay from the $25 it used to be. I'm sorry, 160 something a week. Are you kidding me? Nobody's running to make this a career and to pay their mortgage with this amount of money. So I just think that we, the people, are the ones who should control the purse strings and the pay of our elected officials, not the elected officials.
I agree that each elected official should be compensated on some level. I think that all of the levels of compensation need to be reviewed, not just tribal council, not just chief, but every elected official, every position, and to ensure that it is not excessive. I also think that the people should have a say in what their elected officials, their wages and salaries are. With general council, there should be an issue that is discussed and voted upon at each general council, and even how about a poll or something like that for input from the people as guidelines or possible just some input from the people. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to do another money question before we get to a really good question. All right. This is regarding money paid to council for trips in their own car when there are vans available to use. Should they be paid mileage and per diem? What is your feeling about that? And I think we are at Verna.
That's a tough question. Okay, now? Okay. It is a tough question. There are some instances where it's more feasible for a council member attending training or a conference to use their own vehicle. I live in Nowata. I've attended training in Catoosa, in Tulsa, and I've used my own car. In some cases, I'm the only one going, so it would be inconvenient to drive to Bartlesville and pick up a car and then go and backtrack, actually. But minimal, you know, it costs gas to go. It's going to cost gas if we take a company car. Paying mileage is acceptable. Per diem, that would depend on the event. Local events, there is no per diem. A day event, there's no per diem. If you attend a conference outside the state of Oklahoma, yes, expenses are paid. Per diem is to cover food and actual things that you have to do at these. Sometimes you have to take a taxi to get to the place that the conference is held from your hotel. But those are reviewable, they're within the guidelines, and the council, as well as any staff person attending an event, they could fall under the same guidelines and receive the same amount and direction. And we are required to give a report when we come back.
I think it would be a very big exception to use a private vehicle. I think as long as there are tribal vehicles available, then those should be used. Yes, there's mileage regardless, but at 56 cents a mile, that can become a little outrageous. Working in corporate America, we had guys who wanted to drive their personal vehicles to Houston and back. I'm sorry, you could buy a plane ticket a whole lot cheaper than 50 cents a mile going to Houston and back. So I just think that, like I said, there are exceptions, Vern, I understand that. But I think by and large, that should be very, very minimal of when that happens. We have plenty of vehicles here, and so those should be used. I don't think at any time should a person use their personal vehicle when there's a tribal vehicle available, unless it's, as Verna suggested. Thank you.
I too have experience in corporate America and our travel policy. I traveled daily across 7 counties and the state and into other states. There's a very simple cost comparison spreadsheet that we utilized to find out which means of travel and compensation was going to be most cost effective. It is very simplistic. It's a worksheet. Plug in the numbers, plug in the mileage, the distance. It shoots you out which one is going to be more cost effective. It's very simple. And I would work at incorporating that into our travel policy. Thank you.
And as far as I know, the tribe always takes the tribal vehicle. I don't know that I've ever gone on anywhere that it has been someone else's vehicle that they get mileage for. I admit that if I'm the one going and I'm the one driving, I take my car. Guess what? I don't charge the tribe anything to take my car, but that's me. But I don't. I prefer everybody use the tribal vehicle if we have to pay for it.
Okay, probably because I work with young people a lot. I'm always interested to see what a group is planning. You remember this question for the chiefs. Okay, we're getting with you, Ronnie. How will you help the younger generation of our Delaware tribal members become more active in tribal government?
Well,
As I stated before, we do need to get our youth involved. Not just the youth, but like I said, the 20 to 35 age group, those are our future. The junior high, senior high kids need involved a lot more than we have involved them. We need some sort of a business enterprise for them to run. Get them involved, get them learning about business, get them learning about the process of tribal work and the red tape and the bureaucracy, because as they get out of junior high and high school, they'll become that 20 to 35-year-old that we want. So I think programs that we need to start need to be economic in nature for our kids. Let them help them set up some sort of small enterprise that they are responsible for. You give them seed money, and whether it's lawn mowing business or something for these kids, tell them they're required in 2 months to turn a profit, and lead them and guide them to be able to do that. Whether it's a small accounting, they have to do it. They have to turn in their receipts. They have to be responsible. This is the way we build our kids to become productive citizens. We work with them, we get them involved, we help them with scholarships, not just our scholarships, but Cherokee scholarships, there are a lot of local scholarships that go unaccounted. I mean, people just they say, oh, it's just $500, so they don't apply for them. We need to help our kids find these. We need a resource for our kids to come, not just our education committee, but have someone here who is knowledgeable to help them find these resources. Thank you.
I'm going to address this question in two different parts. Your specific question addressed how to get our youth involved in government specifically, and I encourage that they are more active and more aware of the situations going on. This would be open meetings, having the tribal council meetings streamed, having the issues that are being voted on posted on our website, knowledge available for them. In addition, not just education regarding government, but education availability, period. I work with a number of youth organizations. As you all know, Lenapiosi, that is our culturally based foundation. We work with our kids not just culturally, but we nurture them to find what are they interested in career-wise. It's called career exploration and career pathways. It's a huge thing. It's a huge movement across the state and across the country, and we encourage them to utilize various websites to find out which career fields would match up with their interests. We then look at the area schools and education options that provide those actual degree plans. Then we work with them on tuition assistance, locating scholarships, and working with them and encouraging them from start to finish. We also put them in touch with employers, potential employers in that field, that way from start to finish. Here's their interest, here's the career fields, here's the education provider, and here's the employer. It's the pathway is laid for them. And that's what I plan to incorporate into our tribe as well for our youth services. Thank you.
I'm looking at a total different perspective. I feel that if you are strong in who you are as a tribe, and you will come to your tribe. I realized I didn't show up here to work in my tribe until I was 45. I have discovered other people showing up about that time in their life. It's because they're eager to learn about what they have lost when the parents moved away or had to go somewhere else to get a job. I think instead of working with the 10-year-olds, which if they're here, that's fabulous, but let's bring our family people, let's bring their pride back to being Delaware. Let's get them here in this area, and if they have pride and are happy to participate, the children come along with them. I don't know how to do it. I have met a man last week that's supposed to help us do this, and it will be interesting to watch. I have tried to bring many people in to learn the language, and it falls apart in a month. I don't know what's going on. This is not my expertise, but I'm willing to try any suggestion that's half reasonable. Let's talk about it, figure it out together, because I'm at a loss.
What I see for our youth, as Jan just said, our youth are scattered. They're not concentrated in a small area. We had a very good education department when the last time we lost recognition and lost our funding. I want to bring that back. One of our education directors developed a handbook for students how to go about the process to get your scholarships and the things you need to do starting in junior high through high school, so they know and they work toward their goals. And reaching the youth is one of the avenues is going to be the interactive videos, the interactive programs. I've asked over, I used to be chairman of the education committee. I asked committee members, I've asked tribal members, help us come up with doable projects. I don't know all the possibilities. Bring us a project to start with and help us develop it so that we can bring our kids back and get them through education. I would very much like to be able to issue full scholarships for students with the understanding that when they graduate, they will come back and work for the tribe for a set number of years, paying back and hoping that once that time is up, they will continue to work for the tribe, and that way we will have our young people. It's a long road, and we need the ideas from everyone, whether it's education, community service, any project. We need ideas that can be expanded upon and welcome them from our tribe.
Thank you. Okay, it's time now for your closing statement. You have 2 minutes to lay forth all your glorious plans, and I guess it is Michelle's.
Oh, boy. Okay,
It's the warm-up or something.
As I had stated earlier, I have the tools, I have the experience, I have the knowledge and the resources available that I have been utilizing and putting forth, not only with Lenape but with the Northeast Oklahoma Workforce Investment Act program. Every federally recognized tribe is able to initiate this program into their resources. We are one of the very few tribes in this area that have not. And I will work towards incorporating the Workforce Investment Act program into our tribe. An investment in our youth, an investment in their education, in culture, is an investment in our future, an investment in our workforce development, which is in turn an investment in our economic development. And I plan to, if elected, will work towards incorporating these programs and expanding the career services, not just for our youth, but for our adult services as well. Thank you.
Yes, this would be my second term on office when I'm elected this time, if you're willing to allow me to be elected this time. I feel like that I've done what I said I would do, and I'm still willing to work toward a better Delaware tribe. I feel that if I have things to offer, I should come to my tribe and help them. I don't mean wait until someone rings your doorbell and say, hey, you got things you can do for us? Why aren't you here opening those doors whether you're on office or not? I'm willing to take grants. Anybody wants to write. I think everybody should be involved. They shouldn't have to sit up here. They can be involved, but I know I have things I would like to finish, and then I'm willing to turn this over to a younger person that has bigger dreams than I have. My dreams seem pretty big for a while. They're getting closer to reality, but they're still there, and I still feel like I have a few more things to do, and I hope you will let me do those and vote for me this time, Jennifer Brown, for council. I really feel that I can do more still, and thank you.
Boy, this is hard. There's so many things I'd like to say. We have moved forward in every administration. We have moved forward during the last 4 years. Yes, there's been mistakes. I'm learning. I can't speak for everybody, but I know the majority of us are learning and understanding what we need to do. I definitely promote and want to continue promoting educational avenues, community service avenues for reaching out to our families and our elders. Some of these programs are under the trust board, and monies that have been, large numbers of monies have been spent and voted on by the people came from the trust funds. That had to be done that way. Because the trust funds are definitely the people's money, and they direct how we spend it. Many of the funds that are spent by the tribal council or by programs are through grants, and the grants dictate how those monies are spent. Yes, we need definite accountability in our accounting and the expenditures of our monies. We're in the process right now of hiring a new head of the department in accounting. And the goal there is to get somebody in and hire tribal people with minimal knowledge and have this person guide them and get them to the point that they can step up and take over. I ask for your vote. I would appreciate it. I feel I still have a lot to offer the Delaware people. But whether you vote for me or not, please vote for whoever you think would be the best person for the Delaware tribe.
Well, the election's just a few weeks away. And as your counselor, I want to help bring this tribe back to we the people. I want to bring the trust back to our tribe. I want our tribe to feel that they are part of the Delaware tribe. Not that things are going on around them that they have no control over or know nothing about. We need to involve every Delaware possible in every decision that's made. We need to be the leaders of our tribe, not just the council, not just the chief, but all the constituents of the Delaware Tribe of Indians have a part in leading this tribe, and the council and the chief should allow that to happen, and that's what I hope to see. I want to end the dishonesty, the nepotism, the accounting issues, the DFMS issues. We need to get everything back on track, and that's what I hope when I get in office to do, is to help lead this tribe back to the tribe that every Delaware can be proud of. We need to be able to stand up and say, I'm Delaware and I'm proud of that. Because we are Delaware strong. And like I said, I have a blog. It's mydelawareviews.wordpress.com. Those are my views. And I just ask for your vote on November 1st. And hopefully we can look forward to being the tribe that we want to be. Thank you very much.
I want to thank these people that are brave enough to stick through the whole time. It was a long session. I appreciate their being here and answering all these questions. About 10 after 4, we will have the person who's driven a very, very long way to for the associate tribal judge seat. So I do hope that you can stay. That forum will be abbreviated. It will probably end about